This may seem like a beautiful truck, but it's got a terrible history. And really, most of that history starts from 2023 to now. He's done 3 engines in this truck trying to restore it, and he has terrible luck, and the engines keep blowing up. I'm gonna go grab Tyson and my dad and see if they're up to the challenge of figuring this out and finally get it running right for the guy. Before I pull it around, I wanna show you. The customer has done body and paint work to it. You would never believe that this truck is almost 32 years old, but it is that nice. Even the shell on this thing, he's done bed lighting on this. This is beautiful. Let me show you the interior. Yeah, the interior, look at that, guys. Oh, the dash isn't even cracked. What's really cool, this guy dropped this off last night. Look at these records. He's got prices, dates, details, all about this thing. Even more records. This poor guy is extremely thorough, but has just, for some reason, had the worst luck with engines. Let's pop the hood before we bring it back to Tyson. Yeah, look at this. Oh, redhead steering gear, good taste. I mean, even the brake booster and stuff looks good. Yeah, most of this, I'm amazed at the condition just initially under the hood of this thing. I wonder why. Oh, we've got a ton of oil around here. I don't know why this customer keeps having so many issues. I mean, from the understanding, it's only been in the last 2 years that he keeps having engine issues, and going through 3 engines really makes me concerned about what's causing this. Is it just poor engine manufacturing, or is there something else going on? So I'm gonna go pull this in, have Tyson look at this, get more of the story and the details on this. We're gonna finally figure it out though. All right, Tyson, you ready for this thing?
What do we got?
He's done 3 engines in the last 2 years.
Okay, why?
That's where you come in.
He's supposed to tell us why.
I'm gonna go grab my dad and have you guys go over the details to see what is going on with the thing. Hey, we got a truck in here, a 93 F-150 that's had 3 engines in it in the last 2 years. I'll just go over the whole story with you and Tyson here if you can come over.
Okay, I'll be there in a minute.
Okay, thanks.
Wow, look at this whole truck.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow, it's actually, has he had this painted?
He's has been working on restoring it for a few years now, but the problem that he brought it from out of state to us is this is his 3rd engine since 2023.
Jeez.
And so,
Where's he buying them from? Junkyards?
well, I don't know. Jansen got a lot of the details. Jansen and Aubrey did, so we'll have to get it. I did notice when I popped the hood, he's got tons of oil up near that distributor.
Didn't get his intake manifold sealed up right.
Yeah, that's all that
Valley.
is. Yeah. It's got this military gray paint on it. Who does their... Do we know who the manufacturer is that he was buying these from?
The good thing is this guy's got records up the wazoo.
Okay.
Here you are, Doctor.
Oh man, I love that. I want to look at this 30-year-old topper you got on this thing. This is old school, dude. This is how it was done back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh man. Wow. Engine number 1.
He started it back up, limped it to Kansas, and then a local shop in Kansas looked at it.
How many miles you got on it right now?
176,961.
So this had an engine issue with it back at 174,000.
And we only have 2 more thousand miles on it? 176?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And then the second motor had a terrible noise, ended up being a lifter that was broken. Had to have a 3rd engine installed. The manufacturer shipped motor number 3. So who's the manufacturer? The truck sat for a year before they finally finished the install of motor number 3. 3 miles, saw it leaking coolant. Found a hose was left off, installed it. After driving it from there, is still having a rough low idle. The low idle concern is most pronounced on cold starts. Once it's warmed up, the idle will fluctuate.
500 to 600.
600. Customer did an oil change 500 miles after third engine. Replaced a second oil change at 1,000 miles.
Well, shall we hear it?
We can.
Let's listen to it. Anybody check the oil before we start up? Hang on 1 second. Right here it is.
It's on.
Looks pretty good too. Okay, fire it up, dude. I got a misfire. Just let it warm up here for a minute. What's his complaint right now? Sorry, you got it. It runs rough. Like,
Oh yeah.
The idler motor kicked down.
unplug his IAC motor. Yeah, it's not this whole throttle. Okay, let's disconnect that IAC. What I want to do here is I'm going to disconnect the computer from adjusting the idle speed. And an IAC is an idle air control valve. Basically an air bleed.
And you want to key it off first?
No, I just want to get it off. Come here. See how that's sticking? So that's the first thing. We've probably got a throttle body here that's wore out or something.
Yeah.
So we got to figure that. So, I mean, he's got a little bit, this tick you're hearing, I don't hear any kind of engine tick or anything like that. That could be lifters or
Something like a solenoid.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about that. But it does have like all the cylinders are not balanced. Now we could do it real quick, the old-fashioned way. I don't hear a spark plug zapping or anything like that. No. But we could. You want to start pulling spark plug wires and see which hole makes a difference, and then we'll just go do that. So what we're going to do is old style, old school way. We're going to just disconnect one spark plug wire at a time, disable that cylinder. Now you got to do that with the idle air control motor disconnected, because if you try to figure this out with that connected, the computer's going to adjust the idle speed. So go ahead and start pulling them, Tyson.
Isn't contributing?
That's it. Go back on it. On and off. Made a little bit of a difference. Keep going. So what we'll do is we'll find the cylinder that has the least amount of contribution, and we'll just check the compression in that hole. You see the difference? The way the motor, he'll pull the plug wire off and kind of shudder. That's telling us that cylinder's firing a little bit. I know a lot of you guys out there, you'll be like, oh, I'll hook a scope up to it and stuff. I promise you, I can do this faster than you can hook up a scope and start disabling the cylinders. I'm pretty sure of that. And at the end of the day, I'm going to still have to do a mechanical compression test on the cylinder. Are there any of those wires leaking, dude? Can you see them leaking?
No. I can spray some water on them.
What I mean leaking, they're leaking voltage. You can see it sparking. That's the problem with spark plug wires. That's the reason they eliminate them. You got all this length of places where you can have a short, an electrical, a short, and it doesn't get to the spark plug. Let's get a spray bottle of water real quick. And what I'm doing here is I'm hitting these wires, and you'll hear a snapping or you'll see a spark leak. And you see how it's shuddering right now? by me spraying it with water. And I know a lot of people are like, well, yeah, you're spraying it with water. Hey, you drive your truck and car in the rain. So, you know, if a little bit of water on a wire is causing a problem, it's going to cause a problem when you're driving it in the rain. Okay, so the guy's main concern today, so to say, is why is it leaking oil so badly? And then why is it running so poorly?
Okay.
So he just feels he's fed up with the shop. It's been with them for a long time. He wants us to just figure out those two things mainly and provide some answers because the other shop isn't.
Okay. So Tyson, obviously we got an intake manifold leaking.
Yep.
So let's put it up on the rack and make sure we got nothing else, you know, on the underside leaking.
Yep.
And then when we pull that intake manifold off to reseal that up, we probably got a bushing. You know, I doubt if you can, we'll have to remanufacture this throttle housing and fix it. I doubt if you can get one. So we might have to re-bushing that.
This is a good candidate to where you get rid of this factory injection, because if you can't get parts anymore,
I know.
put on a nice modern, like a Holley.
Oh yeah, it is. And then
Holley
I don't have to worry
sniper on
about
there.
the throttle body and all that. Because yeah, this thing here is wore out. It's just sticking. It, you know, like. And then, yeah. So let's go ahead and turn it off. Let's go ahead and put it up in the air and just look at it for the other oil leaks. It looks like the valve covers are pretty dry on this side, at least here, the front.
Let me get my mirror and look at the back of the intake.
Well, let's put it up in the air. We can see that, can't we? So we'll run a compression test for the guy, make sure mechanically the engine's sound. And then obviously the intake's got to come off, and we'll see if, yeah, the intake's not sealing up right. Because something's not, I mean, it's just not idle. It acts like it's got a vacuum leak.
Let me hook up a vacuum gauge too, see what we're at.
Yeah, let's go do
idle
that.
vacuum wise.
We have ran into that with some of these old
Yeah,
ones.
let's just put it, we got a nice tap right here. Let's do that. Now guys, everybody out there, I'm going to tell you, you think it, you know, a vacuum gauge, now we're going old school. Back in the day, you had to figure out why an engine didn't run right. There were no check engine lights. There wasn't, you know, something that'll tell you at least where to look. It was like talking to a 6-month-old baby. All it did was cry and complain. And you had to figure out what's the matter. You know, that's how cars and trucks used to be back in the early 90s, you know, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So this thing, a vacuum gauge, was so valuable, and if you know how to use one and read one, it still is super valuable today. You want a steady, nice vacuum at idle. You don't want your needle bouncing. Fire it up, mouse. See how that, it's a little low, you know, 14 inches is maybe a little low on this motor from my experience. And what my needle's not doing, my needle's not vibrating, it's not going bouncing, it's pretty dang steady. That's a good indication I don't have a broken valve spring, or I don't have a valve seat that's, or a spring that's broken or anything like that. Rev it up here and let's try to hold it. Point, and it recovers, a little bit of recovery. Look, I'll show you this. So when you don't have it, there where it drops to like 14 inches of vacuum at idle, that's a little low. Now you can get that off a camshaft or anything. Mostly what I'm looking for is I want to know is my needle bouncing. You could adjust the timing maybe and, you know, get that up a little bit. In fact, that's the way you used to adjust timing. You wouldn't even have to use the timing light. In fact, Tyson, let's loosen that distributor up and show them. Let's see if we can get a little more vacuum out of this with some ignition timing. It's going to be 13 millimeter. I'm going to rotate that distributor a little bit. See how the needle went up there just a little bit? See how it's creeping up there just a little? And the engine? Yeah. He was close. Go ahead and tighten it up. Obviously, you know, we've set it correctly with the timing light, but I just wanted to see if he's close and if I could get it up higher. We really can't. So the next step would be, we're going to run a compression test on the engine. I have to mechanically verify that all my cylinders have equal oomph compression in each one of them. And if they don't, they need to be at least within 10%, meaning if I've got 150 PSI in one of them and less than 135 in another one, I got a cylinder that's bad. And then we'd find out with the leak down test, is the cylinder bad by the rings? Compression can only leak basically through 3 spots in a cylinder, either by the rings, by the sidewall of the piston, up through one of the valves, intake or an exhaust valve, through a bad seat, or through a head gasket area. And you could do a leak down test to determine that. The leak down test is, of course, you put the cylinder on a compression stroke, which basically is the piston at the top dead center, both valves closed in that position, add shop air to the cylinder, and listen for where the air is leaking. If it's coming out of the crankcase where your oil cap is, that means it's in by the rings. If it's coming out of the intake, you know, the air filter, that would be an intake valve. If it's coming out the exhaust pipe, that'd be an exhaust valve. And if it's blowing up your radiator hose when you're adding air to it, it means you got a bad head gasket. So that's what a leak down test would tell you. It'll be able to verify what's happening. I guess we'll back it up and put it up on a lift.
Yeah.
Dang it. He's got a tranny leak too, man. Look at this fluid right here, this red fluid. We got a front pump. Looks like you got a pan back here too, all this. You got pan leaking. Now, guys, I'm gonna show you something. Let's see if, so you can see the pan gasket leaking here. It's all wet around that seam. If you want to double check on these, this will always bite you. You want to make sure, and in fact, this one is guilty of it. This is the shifter shaft seal, and do you see? This thing definitely has a pan gasket leaking, but you want to, that shifter shaft seal is also leaking. It's leaking down here on the pan gasket. A lot of guys will just say, oh, it's pan gasket. You don't check that shifter shaft seal on a transmission, and that thing will leak right down on the pan gasket. And I've seen guys replace a pan gasket 3 times thinking, I'm not getting the pan gasket sealed up, and it ends up being that shifter shaft seal. So just be aware of that. What else is leaking?
Possibly the front. Looks like a coolant leak at the water pump, the front cover.
Let's, I'm gonna call the guy. Let me go call the guy and talk to him a little bit. Mark, hi, this is Dave's Auto. This is Dave. It's got a couple things that are not right that I saw right off the bat. Your oil leaks, your intake manifold's leaking. Now, I checked quickly with the can of carb cleaner while it was idling low, disconnected the idle air control valve. It seems like you know a little bit, so I'm just gonna dive in here, okay?
Yeah.
So if you don't follow me, just, you know, yell time out, and we'll talk about what I'm talking about. So I disconnected the idle air control motor. That looked like you just replaced it.
Yep.
I disconnected that, your base idle on your throttle plate or whatever. Somebody's messed with that, it ain't right. But I mean, that's okay. We can deal with that later. So I just set it to about 800 RPM without the idle air control motor, and then started spraying for vacuum leaks or something, and it would have, you know, it would have made the motor stutter or something like that, and didn't find any external. My thinking is, you know, these motors that these guys will reman, especially older ones, you know, maybe this was the 3rd time it'd been remanned. Who knows? Who knows? And the heads have been milled and machined, so the engine could have an internal vacuum leak on the inside of the intake runners. You know, that could happen. But anyway, you got an intake manifold that's leaking. I gotta look at that anyway. But you got a tranny leak too, by the way. You saw the red. You know, you got 2 different fluids. The oil leak on the engine's coming mostly from the front, where the front.
Yeah, that's, the tranny leak that I think the tranny leak is thanks to the original shop in Oregon on motor 1.
The pan gasket is leaking, and you know, but it looks to me like it's either the front pump or the front the front pump seal. So if we get there and we do that work, I just want you to know, you might get a call and say, hey, you know, it's not only a gasket, but, you know, we got some issues here. And I kind of wanted to give you a heads up about what those possible issues could be. But before we get into any of that, we're going to run a compression test on the motor. So hang on a second. I'll have Aubrey give you that quote.
So Dave got a compression test authorized on this Ford. Let's see what it shows. I shouldn't have to do this to take out a spark plug. I should be able to crack it free like I did this one. And then just unthread it by hand, just like this. So let's finish getting this out and see what we've got. Oh dear. Yep, you can see the threads are messed up there. Someone cross-threaded it or something. We'll see if my compression tester will thread into there. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. Also look at them to see if you see discoloration or anything that might point you to where there's something going on. So far, all his plugs are looking nice and white. Ford's make it convenient with this solenoid right here. Then I'm going to put a battery maintainer on so I have good consistent cranking. So I'm looking for good even needle bounce. So right now we're at 115. All right, same. So we got a couple problems here.
What are we doing here?
I was just looking at the ratio conversion to PSI just to kind of have an idea of compression.
You already knew that though.
So I don't have that memorized.
You don't have that memorized?
No.
Tyson, what the? Come on, man. This is easy. Come on.
So anyway.
Because they don't give you the actual compression. Now you know you got to kind of, because we were at altitude.
Yeah, you got to compensate and whatnot. So I was just curious and for consistency. But
number 6, I don't see any. I don't see any
well,
number there.
That's because I got to chase the threads and clean them up. Somebody doinked up the threads putting in the spark plug.
Oh,
so I'm going to get a chaser coming that
We don't
goes
have
in the. I don't have one anymore. That goes in the hole and then it pops out, and it helps chase the threads. Remember those?
Yeah.
This was kind of a 118. So they're all 115 on this side and 125. So it makes you wonder, when they built this motor, did things get machined the same? Is one head milled more than the other head?
I know, because it runs, it idles like.
And then the history kind of makes you question.
Right. It's like how many motors do they have to hodgepodge together to get this thing right?
So
that's a good call, dude. I
think, know, it's not that it's bad, but it does kind of.
It's uneven.
It's uneven. It's like, why? And I rechecked it on this side when I was done, and it's pretty consistent, 115. And I was like, okay. So we're gonna clean that last one up, and then it might be that this is how it runs, buddy. And it's an old 93. It's not gonna run like your 2013,
especially if both banks are out of balance. Like that.
You know, and they're, so speaking of out of balance, that's another question. You know, if they were just.
Well, remember, we're worried that we might have an internal vacuum leak. Now that wouldn't come up on a compression test. But if he wants us to pull the intake manifold off to fix the oil leak.
Yeah.
At that time, we will check our surfaces, the V, and see if we've got one head that was milled more and it's further away from.
Now another thing is, I didn't see any zinc additive on his bill. What cam did they use in this? I want to make sure all those cam lobes look good.
Well,
to make sure, you know, nothing got wore down.
Remember, one of the engines
yeah,
went bad because it had, he said he didn't even drive it like 5 miles. And
it
ate up a cam.
So
this engine didn't come with the roller cam.
No.
It's a hydraulic flat
Yep.
tappet. Okay, well, let's
I'm gonna clean up
get
that hole
compression on that hole.
and then we'll
And
write
then
it
we'll
up.
call the guy and kind of give him the news and see if he wants to proceed and pull the intake off. But
yeah, dig deeper.
But if we don't find a problem with the intake, and if one head has been milled worse than the other, and that's kind of what we're looking like here, so our CCs and our cylinder head will be different, and the engine will never be able to fix that.
Nope.
We'll never be able to take that imbalance out of there.
Nope.
So he might have to just live with it.
You might.
Yeah, okay.
So one of those spark plug threads has gotten boogered up. They're not damaged, but they're just not smooth anymore. You can't easily thread in the spark plug. So we're gonna get a tap, put a little grease on it to catch any shavings. We're gonna clean those threads up so we can get the spark plug reinstalled.
The next day.
Mr. Tyson, I see you are plugging away on this DCR pump.
We are.
Tell me about, Aubrey was saying that the guy is pulling the plug on this old Ford truck that had the engine rebuilt 3 times, and he's saying he wants to try and take it back to the place and have it repaired. Do you know, fill me in on details?
So we went and did the compression test.
Okay.
The compression wasn't bad, but it was odd because one side was 125 and the other side was 115.
Okay.
Well, we have no confidence in the engine rebuilt. Is there something where a head milled is more than the other? Is there something weird going on?
Yeah.
To where, you know, it's not that it necessarily runs bad, but he's complaining about a rough idle. Well, if something was machined off, it's never going to run smooth.
Could it be a timing issue if it's off?
It could be timing, or if one side's compression ratio is different than the other side, it's going to be, you know, piston comes up and it's a little different than the other side.
Okay.
It's not that compression was bad, but it wasn't the same.
Okay.
So, you know, we told him, do you know what camshaft got put in? Like all these questions. And unfortunately, there's no confidence in the engine rebuild.
Right.
So he's going to go back to the other place to try to get his oil leaks warranted and all the other stuff warranted. So that's his deal that he's going to try. Because our recommendation was to pull the intake and inspect. Before we go fixing all the other oil leaks and everything going on, let's see if we find a problem with the intake off. Is one head machine different? Does all the cam lobes look good? To where we cut bait and say, you need to get an engine from a completely different place. Because obviously this place, you know, has an issue.
Keep having a consistent issue.
Yeah. So
okay.
Then there's the second option, like we're giving this other guy, because it's sat for 10 years, everything's rotted out. We could put on a Holley style or, you know, injection system that helps compensate for that lower engine vacuum, to where it's not going to idle perfectly smooth, but it will idle a little better, and then you get the benefits of a more modern injection system on the vehicle, and you can get rid of a lot of the stuff that's no longer needed on that year of a vehicle.
Yeah. Okay. It's sad to see him go, but hopefully he can get warranted what he needs to at the other shop and get taken care of. That's the goal.
That's the hope.
Okay. Thanks for all the testing you did on it, Tyson.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so this is a tough situation as a shop to be in, as well as the customer. As a shop that has not done any work but some testing on it, in order for us to move forward, we have to charge the customer for that time to compensate Tyson and a lot of other variables that come into this. So what would you do as a shop in this position? Any more, any less, or just the same? And for the customer, any advice that can be beneficial to him that we can provide, let's do that. My dad has the 4 C's: condition, cause, correction, confirm. Another customer of ours added a 5th C, so this is like revolutionary: communicate. Communication is a key part in this industry, and I've talked about it before, and so I'll end on this. The communication between the customer and the shop to the customer is vital. So anything that we can do to provide him more information is valuable, and anything that you guys can add on tips, either to us, to the customer, so on and so forth, is going to be helpful on his journey to ultimately get this repaired, back on the road and running like he wants. Thanks.